Good afternoon and welcome to the Connect 2050 Stakeholder webinar. Thank you for joining us. This is the first of 3 webinars for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation's Long Range Plan Update. Please note that this webinar is being recorded. The format of this webinar will be a 15-minute presentation followed by a question and answer session. At any point, if you'd like to ask a question, you can enter it into the YouTube chat box or submit it by email to connect2050@dot.wi.gov. My name is Alex Gramelbot. I'm an urban and regional planner for WisDOT and the project manager for Connect 2050. Next, we have a couple of panelists with us. I'd like to introduce Sean DeStramp. Sean.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sean DeStramp. I'm a freight program officer at WisDOT.
Thanks, Sean. We have Jen Murray.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen. I'm the urban planning chief here at WisDOT.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We also have Ian Ritz. Ian.
Section here at WisDOT.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. And last but not least, we have Chuck Wade.
Good afternoon. I'm Chuck Wade. I'm the director of the Bureau of Planning and Economic Development. The planning section and the study itself is coming out of this bureau.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck. We're now going to begin the webinar presentation. We encourage you to submit questions or comments at any time during the presentation through the chat box or by email. Give me 1 second to share my screen and get the video up and running.
Hello, and thank you for watching. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation, or WisDOT, is updating its statewide long-range transportation plan called Connect 2050. This presentation will give you an overview of what the plan is and the timeline for updating the plan. It will also go over the plan's vision and goals and provide information about our state's transportation system and emerging trends. In addition, we will discuss how WisDOT plans for the future of transportation in Wisconsin. At the end of the presentation, we will explain how you can provide input and participate in the planning process. Let's talk about agenda item number 1. What is Connect 2050? We plan for our transportation system because transportation affects the quality of our daily lives. It provides access to jobs, education, and healthcare, and supports the people, place, and prosperity of Wisconsin. Connect 2050 is a policy-based plan that will guide WisDOT's decision-making about changes and investments to our transportation system over the next 30 years. Policies in Connect 2050 are the very first step in the transportation planning project delivery process. The policies in the plan identify what WisDOT would like to accomplish. Other WisDOT efforts will identify how and when they will be accomplished through specific projects or improvements to our transportation system. Connect 2050 is a statewide plan, meaning it will guide decision-making for the entire state of Wisconsin, from our dense urban centers to our sparsely populated rural areas. The plan also is long-range, meaning it looks ahead to the future, in this case 30 years. 2050 may seem like a long way off, but in the world of transportation, it is not. An average DOT project can take anywhere from 3 to 15 years from the time it is identified to when the project is funded and implemented. Looking out 30 years gives WisDOT the ability to comprehensively manage the entire transportation system over the long term, rather than taking a piecemeal approach. Furthermore, the plan is multimodal, meaning it will consider the needs of the whole transportation system, including roads, ports, rails, transit, airports, and bike and pedestrian modes. Connect 2050 is our answer to these questions. What do you want our transportation system to look like in 2050? What should we do between now and then to get there? Our journey is just beginning. WisDOT will be developing the Connect 2050 plan in 4 phases through 2021. Throughout development, we will continue to offer webinars and virtual meetings, and we will accept comments and survey submissions through the release of the final plan. If possible, we will hold in-person meetings in 2021. During the pre-draft phase, which is the current planning phase, WisDOT will assess the state of the transportation system and obtain public feedback on future transportation priorities and trends. In the draft plan phase, WisDOT will update the plan vision, goals and policies, and prepare the draft plan. During this time, WisDOT will conduct more outreach and offer a 30-day public comment period. We will also coordinate with tribes, metropolitan planning organizations, and regional planning commissions, and consider recommended policies from WisDOT's system, modal, corridor, and/or project plans. WisDOT will review and consider all input and update the plan with your feedback in mind. During the final plan phase, WisDOT will release the final Connect 2050 plan that will be used by WisDOT and other agencies to help guide the coordinated development of our transportation system at the state, regional, and local levels. Now let's talk about agenda item number 2. What is the vision of Connect 2050, and what goals are being considered in its creation? The vision and goals are the backbone of Connect 2050. The vision is the overarching statement that identifies what we would like the transportation system to be and do for us. The vision statement means that WisDOT wants an integrated transportation system that works and provides mobility and options for all of us, facilitates economic productivity, improves quality of life, all while minimizing impacts to the natural environment. Connect 2050 has 5 main goals, which will identify the themes that the policies in the plan fall under: economic vitality, safety and security, quality of life and natural environment, system integration and connectivity, and system management. Economic vitality means to maintain and improve the state's transportation system so it is responsive to global and regional economic needs and changing conditions. Promoting an economically healthy transportation network means making an investment to all modes. Some examples of how WisDOT supports economic vitality include implementing freeway reconstruction and highway improvement projects, managing the Harbor Assistance Program to improve our state's shipping, port, and waterway resources, and hosting the Freight Advisory Committee, assisting with airport improvement projects, and investing in passenger rail, intercity bus, and transit services. Safety and security means to create a system that is safe for all users and agile in preventing, preparing for, and coordinating responses to any incident, whether natural or the result of human activity. Creating and managing a transportation system that is safe for all users is possibly the single most important undertaking of a state Department of Transportation, so WisDOT works continually to improve your safety. This may mean reducing collisions through road design, like adding rumble strips to alert drivers who have departed their lane, or placing a roundabout at a key juncture to improve congestion and reduce severe injury crashes. It also means investing in Wisconsin's Highway Safety Improvement Program. Between 2015 and 2019, this program funded over $150 million in safety improvements throughout the state. It also means investing in rail crossing safety improvements. Quality of life and natural environment focuses on how to implement and manage a transportation system that balances transportation needs with the natural environment and resource conservation. WisDOT works with private and public partners, including the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, to protect resources. WisDOT has restored 5,800 acres of wetlands across the state over the past 3 decades, and WisDOT seeds 75 acres of land each year with native flora to benefit our state's most at-risk species. WisDOT also coordinates with other agencies and partners to develop a national network of alternative fuel and charging infrastructure corridors. All of Wisconsin's interstates and US 53 and US 51 are part of this network. System integration and connectivity means to bring modes of transportation together to provide a properly integrated system. WisDOT supports all modes of transportation across the state, including freight and passenger rail and transit systems. To ensure a well-integrated system, WisDOT also looks to improve efficiencies and connect different modes to increase economic vitality and make travel easier and more accessible for our residents. For example, Wisconsin's State Urban Mass Transit Operating Assistance Program provides operating cost assistance to support bus, shared ride, taxicab, and rail services in the state. Federal transit programs further support rural and urban transit systems and specialized transit services throughout our state. In addition, WisDOT, in coordination with Amtrak, created a new throughway bus service that provides 2 daily round-trip buses between Green Bay and Milwaukee with stops in Appleton, Oshkosh, and Fond du Lac, and connects with the Hiawatha passenger rail service in Milwaukee. Throughway buses, like train services, provide modern amenities such as Wi-Fi, reclining seats, and location tracking. System management means to utilize cost-effective preservation and maintenance techniques to maximize transportation investments. WisDOT promotes a well-maintained transportation network by targeting investments and maximizing available funding. For roadways and bridges, WisDOT uses an asset management approach to schedule and fund transportation projects. Our communities and how we move around them are changing all the time. Understanding the key issues or trends that affect transportation is an essential component of the Connect 2050 plan that prepares us for what lies ahead. These 6 trend areas, population, travel patterns, safety, economic activity, energy and the environment, and automated and connected vehicles directly relate to the plan goals and will influence how WisDOT makes decisions about managing our statewide transportation system well into the future. More details about these trend areas can be found on the Connect 2050 website under the virtual open house. Next, we will explore the transportation system in Wisconsin, what it entails, and how WisDOT supports a statewide multimodal network. The transportation system is complex and includes many different modes and facilities, more than just roads. WisDOT plans, builds, maintains, or financially supports airports, ports, harbors, and a ferry, highway and bridges, bicycles and pedestrians, specialized transit, passenger rail, freight rail, transit, intercity passenger bus, and local roads, all of which make up Wisconsin's statewide network. Connect 2050 is the only plan that WisDOT produces that considers all modes for the entire state. Other plans, such as the State Rail Plan, State Airport System Plan, and many others, focus on a single mode and identify needs related to that specific mode. Connect 2050 is the glue that ensures all these other plans and documents work together to provide a system that meets our needs. Here are some interesting facts about our transportation system. WisDOT's transportation system has about 115,000 miles of state and local roads and almost 14,000 bridges. Commercial ports on Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, and the Mississippi River process over 27 million tons of goods annually, valued at over $3 billion. Freight is a major economic driver in the state, as 8 economic sectors reliant on the movement of freight make up 41% of the state gross domestic product. And in 2017, over 190 million tons of cargo was moved by freight rail alone, valued at $150 billion. The state highway system accounts for 10% of our roadway network, but carries almost 60% of all vehicle miles traveled in the state each year. But highways aren't the only way we cover ground. Amtrak's Hiawatha line between Milwaukee and Chicago transported over 875,000 people in 2019. This is the busiest passenger rail service in the Midwest and has continued to set new annual ridership records. By 2030, Wisconsin's 123 airports are projected to serve 15 million passengers and local businesses annually. For shorter local trips on the ground, the state's 81 transit systems completed 59 million trips in 2018. State travelers can also forge their own paths and choose their own pace. Almost 10% of passenger trips in 2017 were completed by walking or biking. So what's WisDOT's role in all of this? WisDOT supports all transportation modes that make up our transportation network in one or more of the following ways: planning, constructing, operating, maintaining, and funding. This leads us to where WisDOT is today. the planning process for the statewide multimodal transportation network. Connect 2050 is a policy-based plan that identifies what WisDOT would like to accomplish over the next 30 years. Other WisDOT efforts will identify how and when they will be accomplished through specific projects or improvements to our transportation system. Our long-range statewide transportation plan, Connect 2050, is being developed as we speak and will merge professional transportation knowledge with the insights of business leaders and everyday citizens. Connect 2050 will provide overall guidance to the mode-specific plans such as the State Rail Plan, the State Freight Plan, the State Bicycle Plan, and the State Airport Plan. WisDOT region plans address transportation by WisDOT's 5 regions and includes close coordination with our state's metropolitan planning organizations. Our operational plans direct how WisDOT will conduct certain activities, such as the Transportation Asset Management Plan. So why do we need your input in getting this plan off the ground? Participation from the public is important because all of us have different perspectives on transportation and what the future might be like. As a Wisconsin resident, participating in Connect 2050 is a chance to share those opinions to help guide the coordinated development of our transportation system at the state, regional, and local levels. We encourage you to visit our website, attend our virtual open house, and take our survey. You can also share a comment and subscribe for future email notifications. For individuals who are not able to use the online resources, we also have paper comment and survey forms that can be mailed to WisDOT. Thank you for watching and being a part of the Connect 2050 planning process.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we'll now be jumping into the question and answer portion of this webinar. Sean Distrant will be reading questions that we received through YouTube or our email. And there may be a delay between the question and the answer due to the virtual nature of the meeting. So I think there's about a 15 to 20 second delay, so we will try to accommodate that. Sean?
Thanks, Alex. Well, while we wait for questions, I'm not seeing any coming in through YouTube yet. So to kick us off, one question that we've gotten on Connect 2050 is, what does WisDOT mean by policy?
Sure. Thanks, Sean. So policies are the initial direction that shapes what actions WisDOT will take relating to some specific mode or other thing. So an example of this is a policy in our previous plan, Connections 2030, that read, preserve Wisconsin's state trunk highway system infrastructure. So this policy commits WisDOT to emphasizing highway system maintenance practices that will preserve the existing infrastructure to maximize its useful life before replacement is needed. So the policy is really setting that 100,000 foot high level of what we will do. And then we have other things that will tell us how we will do that. So Chuck or Jen, anything to add on policies?
No, I think that's a great comment on that. Connect 2050 is kind of our gel that brings all of our policies together, and there will be other plans that happen later in time, such as bike pedestrian plans, freight plans, rail plans, those types of plans that'll get more into detail on the implementation side. So great comment.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck.
Great. And another question that we'll move on, and I'll keep reading off questions that we've gotten that aren't coming in through YouTube right now while we wait for people to give their feedback. Can you provide a summary of input that we've received from the survey?
Sure. So currently from our survey, we've received over 1,500 responses and over 1,500 comments as well. So the top 3 most commonly discussed items that we've received input on are roads, transit, and rail. Those are really the top 3 issues that the people seem to be raising to us. All of those will be factored in, of course. All of the comments will be factored in, but those are the top 3 as far as number of comments and people bringing up those issues and wanting to talk about them.
Great. Now, the first question that we have coming in is, what's the time frame for completion of the plan?
Sure. So currently, we are in the pre-draft plan phase. The plan will be updated by next summer, summer of 2021. And to get us there, we're going to be writing the plan, doing policy analysis, and writing the plan itself, the draft plan, over the winter. And then in the spring, we're going to release it again for a second round of public involvement, more webinars, public involvement meetings, if we can host in-person meetings, and a 30-day public comment period. So that'll lead us all, hopefully, to a goal of next summer for releasing the final plan.
Great. Can you explain the difference between the comment form and the survey for input opportunities?
Sure, absolutely. So the comment form is a more generic form that you can type basically anything you want and have it come directly to us relating to Connect 2050 or other things if you would like. The survey is more targeted. So we ask based on our focus areas, the goal areas that were in that presentation. And so we have specific questions on ranking of importance of certain items that are that fall into those categories. So there is an open-ended question. There's a text box in each survey section where you can type something, but the survey is more targeted as far as the content, and the comment form is generally a more open comment form to get information back to us.
I believe there's a timeline for the survey itself in terms of for this phase. This round of the survey will have a closing date, and then we may relaunch the survey, whereas the comment form is open throughout the entire process of the plan. What's the closing date, Jen?
Closing date will be October 31st of the survey.
The survey, and we will be accepting comments through the comment form throughout the entire planning process. So there's always a way to get to us.
Great. And a very topical question here. How has COVID-19 affected the Connect 2050 planning process?
Well, it has definitely affected it. Like all of us, COVID's affected everything, every aspect of our lives. So all of this began when we were really starting to kick off our public involvement, or coming up with the plans for our public involvement. So we had to rapidly kind of change course, at least for this phase. So obviously we're leaning heavily on technology, social media, and our stakeholders to make sure our message gets out to the people of the state, and make sure that the public knows those opportunities, and stakeholders know those opportunities, and how that they can actually provide comments back to us. So like I said, we've actually received 1,537 survey responses and 1,520 comments, and a lot of engagement via social media as well. So we're hoping that in the spring phase for the second round of public involvement that we can go around the state and host in-person meetings again. We don't know, just like everything else is uncertain at this point. Can't say for certain, but really just using technology to the maximum extent possible that we can, but also providing for those folks that don't either have access to technology or choose not to use technology. So we do, like mentioned before, have those paper survey forms, paper comment forms that can be printed, mailed back to us so that we can get that information as well.
Great. Now, this might be a question more for you, Ian. How does WisDOT, how are they looking to fund public transit in the next coming years?
Yeah, it's a good question. So right now, we currently utilize a variety of funds from federal and state sources going toward rural and urban communities throughout the state. And we certainly plan to continue to utilize those resources going forward. So we'll leverage existing federal and state funding sources. And I want to mention also, local communities are also important partners in any type of transit service. They're ultimately the sponsors in a city or a county. So they're essential partners in funding public and specialized transit as well. So, across those three sources, local, state, and federal, we'll continue to support transit throughout Wisconsin going forward.
Great. And tangential to that question, one that's come in recently, can you comment at all on efforts and planning for specialized transit in rural areas specifically?
Sure, I'll talk about public transit and specialized transit in rural areas. I'll make a quick definition of those. Public transit is service that's available to anyone. You pay your fare, you get on the bus or go on the vehicle, and you go where you need to go. Specialized transit's a little bit different. It focuses on providing service to key demographic groups. Usually, the main one is seniors or individuals with disabilities, but it could also be low-income target population or perhaps even tribal population. So, across public and specialized transit programs in rural parts of the state, again, we have federal and state resources that are allocated specifically to support those areas. And as I mentioned, kind of a critical partner for us is having a local community identify the need and get in touch and work with us. On the public transit side, we have about 45 or so communities, be it a municipality, a county, or a multi-county organization that sponsors rural transit service. So we've got a large number of organizations that we work with and have service in north, south, east, west parts of the state. And we're going to continue to work with those partners. But if there is an organization or community that identifies an additional need that that isn't currently being served, I encourage them to get in touch with us, and we'll look into what it might entail to provide new service there, expand service, things like that. So, it's something that I would say we have a fair amount of transit service in rural parts of the state, but I know there are many needs out there. So if there a community or individuals looking to do something new or different, I encourage you to get in touch and we'll have a conversation about that.
Well, thank you, Ian. This one might be for you, Alex. What is the goal of the non-driver committee that was just formed? And I think the questioner is referring to the WAVE committee or the Wisconsin Automated Vehicle External Group.
Actually, that's the Wisconsin Non-Driver Advisory Committee.
I'm sorry, Chuck.
Yeah, and that was just recently created here in spring of 2020 to discuss and provide recommendations on how to facilitate mobility, safety, and access in Wisconsin's non-driving populations. So that's led by our Division of Strategic Initiatives, and that's an external committee of other agencies and other special interest groups and stakeholders. And they've been tasked to assess the current transportation needs and the barriers for Wisconsin's non-driving populations. The goal of that committee is to develop recommendations that facilitate affordable and equal access to public transportation, and that aid economic workforce development, and to identify public policy changes that will accommodate innovation and new technologies. And there's a number of other things that the committee is charged to do as well. So,
thanks, Chuck. And sorry for getting the committee wrong.
No worries.
What is the goal for the 2050 Connect survey?
Sure. So the goal for the survey is to give the public a means to provide direct feedback to us, to WisDOT staff, on topics that are important to them. So the survey results are basically taken by us, reviewed, analyzed, and used to inform the policies that will be in Connect 2050. And policies that aren't directly, or feedback that we've received that is not directly related to the Connect 2050 policies, we will make sure that the proper either WisDOT region or functional area, business area within WisDOT gets that information. So for instance, transit-related comments would be forwarded onto Ian's group so that he can review them and consider them as a part of their work products that are not directly related to Connect 2050.
Great. Another one here. How can advocates help to move the transit issue forward from the results of the survey?
Sure. So I can speak to as far as Connect 2050, maybe Ian, you can jump in on the other side of this, but as far as transit and the results of this survey, we will make sure that Ian gets all that information and that information goes where it needs to go. But just participating in the Connect 2050 planning process, participating in these webinars, sharing information on social media, making your voice heard is really the main feedback mechanism for this. But Ian, I don't know if you have anything to add on how advocates can basically have their voice heard as far as transit is concerned.
Sure. Yeah. And apart from, questions or comments submitted through the survey for the long range plan, I encourage you to reach out and connect with me and my team directly. Our contact information is on our website, the WisDOT website. If you need help navigating there, I imagine you can talk to our friends in planning. They can help kind of connect you with me as well. I also encourage you to talk to local community members, or say like your county level or city level staff or individuals who might have more knowledge about how transit services delivered in the community. And so I think get in touch with me and talk to your local community, and that's a great way to continue to advocate for transit services.
Thanks, Ian and Alex. What is the plan in the state to repair roads?
Talking to myself, I was muted. So WisDOT has implemented an asset management approach to infrastructure maintenance, meaning what that really means in reality is that we're using data to ensure that we are implementing the right project at the right place at the right time with funding that's available at that time. Chuck, do you have anything that you'd like to add on asset management or how we do road repairs?
Just to make folks aware that there's another planning document that's that's federally required, the Transportation Asset Management Plan, and that's got some policies in it that help to guide the asset management approach that the department uses to ensure that we're being very efficient in what we try to repair in terms of the roads that are out there.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks. And another question we have is, how accessible is the YouTube website for the visually impaired?
Sure. So accessibility and accommodating has been a very important part of this entire process. So our website, our comment form, our survey are all completely accessible to visually and hearing impaired. There's a little guy on the bottom right-hand corner of the website that you can click on that'll actually read it out to you. You can pick other languages and things like that through that application. As far as these recorded webinars, YouTube basically will publish them, and then it'll have closed captioning available on the recording. We're happy to send a text transcript if you would like. If an individual would like a text transcript of the entire webinar, we can. I believe that on the closed captioning, you can actually adjust the text size of it. So you can make the text as large or as small as you would like. And in addition to that, the webinar that's scheduled for this Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. Will have an American Sign Language translator present that will be translating the entire webinar for those who are hearing impaired as well.
Great. And I imagine that there are materials available to read more about Connect 2050.
Oh, absolutely. The project website, it's connect2050.wisconsindot.gov, or you can just Google Connect 2050 and it's the first thing that comes up. But that website is a ton of information. We just recently released a virtual open house, which is essentially a virtual version of an in-person project public meeting that you would go to. So it's set up to really follow like a logical flow of information that you would find at an in-person public meeting, but be virtual. So that information is out there, and there's a lot of different components to it. There's a whole dashboard of comments, an interactive dashboard that you can go and see where people around the state are commenting, see what people are commenting on the survey and the comment form. So yeah, I just can't recommend enough. Go see the connect2050.wisconsindot.gov, and there's a lot of information out there, and it's a really easy to use website.
Great, thanks. And another question that came in is, when is the last time a plan like this was completed? And also, are there copies available to look at?
So the last previous plan was titled Connections 2030. It was updated in 2009. And it's on WisDOT's website under planning. You can actually find all of the chapters and the appendices to the plan itself, the static PDFs of it. Again, if you just Google Connections 2030, you should be able to find it pretty easily. But 2009 was the last time that this plan, the statewide multimodal plan, was updated.
Alex, I believe our website also contains links to several different planning documents that they can easily find from the Connect 2050 page if they go to that page, as well as the Connections 2030 plan is linked there as well, correct?
Yes, thank you for the reminder. At the very bottom of our Connect 2050 page is a link to resources, and we have regional WisDOT region planning efforts. We have the Transportation Asset Management Plan, and we have Connections 2030, the state rail plans, to state airport system plan, and the list goes on. So all of those are available from the Connect 2050 webpage as well. Thank you for the reminder, Chuck.
Well, thanks, everyone. I'm taking a look here, and I don't see any other questions that are coming in. Maybe we can give it a few more seconds here just for the delay. And if nothing else comes in, then I think you can take it away, Alex.
Absolutely. We'll give it another minute or so for folks to jump in.
And thank you, panelists, for all your answers.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have anything else coming in. Sean, feel free to interrupt me if somebody does submit a comment, but just like to thank everybody for participating in today's webinar. We do encourage you to visit our website, attend the virtual open house, take our survey, share this information with your members, your constituents, and really anybody, your family members as well. We have a stakeholder toolkit that is available that was released this past week as well. The toolkit materials can be distributed or presented to your board, committees, interested members of the public. And this really allows your organization to help us inform others by posting materials on social media. And it includes draft social media posts, email language, things like that, really tools for you to use. It includes links to our comment form as well as the paper versions of the survey as well. If you would like to send formal letters, meeting notes, anything like that to us where you're using these materials, feel free to email them to connect2050@dot.wi.gov. And I'd just like to thank you all again for participating in today's webinar and being a part of the Connect 2050 planning process.